Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means thousands of can't-miss deals just in time for summer.
The denim section is unreal.
Why do I rack? All the dresses.
I always find something amazing.
Plus, buy it online and pick it up in-store the same day for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
I just can't give up now. Come too far from where I've started from. Nobody told me the road would be easy, and I don't believe he's brought me this far to leave me. Hey! Woo, y'all, I felt that song in my spirit as I listened back to this episode to record the intro. So you're welcome. On this episode of the Artist Pivot podcast, I am joined by award-winning producer, director, and writer Nasir Kenneth Ferebee. We explore Nasir's transition from the East Coast to the bustling world of Los Angeles, his experiences in the entertainment industry, and the empowering decision to pivot towards creating his own work, because he always knew independent filmmaking was in his path. Throughout the episode, Nasir shares invaluable insights on producing, the importance of standing beside one another in moments of success, and the art of balancing personal growth with professional ambitions. We also discuss staying power and resilience in the creative field, and the importance of acting on your dreams now, and how it's also important to pivot at the right time. You may be called to make a decision that you think you're not ready for, but ultimately, like Nasir said, you have to let go of the good thing to get the God thing. All right. Let's get into this episode.
Hi, I'm Nasir Kenneth Ferebee, and this is the Artist Pivot podcast.
Come take a listen and let your inner artist play, creating your dreams step by step every day. If you're feeling lost and don't know what to do, always remember that you can pivot to the Artist Pivot. The Artist Pivot. We Audition is the video chat community where actors can audition, self-tape, rehearse, and get expert industry advice. Get instant self-tape readers through video chat, browse through the dedicated actor meditations, podcasts, and books, meet casting directors in the virtual green room, and also make money by becoming a reader for other actors. If you join We Audition and use code PIVOT, you will receive a 25% discount on your membership. Yes, that's right. We Audition and the Artist Pivot have partnered to bring you this discount. From my own experience, I love being a reader for other actors, and We Audition is so convenient for me when I need a reader myself. Again, if you join We Audition and use the code PIVOT, you will receive 25% off your membership. Link in the show notes. All right, y'all. So today on the podcast, I'm very excited to say that joining me is two-time Emmy-nominated NAACP Image and GLAAD Award-winning producer, director, and writer, Nasir Kenneth Ferebee. How you doing, Nasir?
I feel like should be like cheers, like hey.
Yes, there should be. Okay, maybe I'll get Kieran to insert some audience applause right here.
Hey, good morning, Queen. I'm super excited to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. You're so very welcome. You're so very welcome. And good afternoon from the East Coast.
You're in New York?
I'm in New Jersey. Yeah,
you're in Jersey.
I'm in Jersey.
Gotcha. Okay, copy that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to have you on the podcast.
Yes,
and
likewise.
my first two questions to you, I ask everybody this. One, how are your hydration levels today? Like, have you had enough water? And two, if I were to text you and say, Nasir, how you doing? How you feeling? How's your day going? But you could only respond in emojis only, what would you text me?
Okay, one, my hydration levels are good. I did my 2 mile run. So I've had a ton of water this morning, and I had my green smoothie, which is typically what I try to have every morning. And so yes, my hydration levels are great. How am I doing via an emoji? How am I? I am. It would probably be like the chill emoji, like the peace sort of, like the peace emoji. I'm at peace. I just had to make a decision about something personally. That was a challenging decision, but I made a healthy decision for me that compromise short-term gratification.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that threw away short-term gratification and waiting things out for the long term. I'll say that. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for that imaginary text.
Yeah. I've made peace with it. So
You've made peace with yes. And listen, state of peace is kind of like, I think, how we just survive life, right?
Amen. That's it. That's all you can do. That's
Nothing
it.
else you could do.
That is it.
That is it. Okay. I understand. So also that orchid behind you, y'all, if you're just listening and not looking at the video, there's a beautiful orchid behind Nasir, and I love orchids. So I just wanted to mention that.
I love an orchid moment. Yeah, I tried to do a little jazz it up. So that's the orchid, and this is my little wall of like my I get a refrigerator magnet. I get a magnet from any country or city that I go to. So you see some Brazil there, and some Vegas, and some other stuff, and some Paris there. So it's like my little gallery. So yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. And okay, so I have all these questions before we even get into like the artistic stuff. So on the podcast Instagram, I usually post like fun facts about all of my guests, right? And one of your fun facts that will be posted is that you like to like watch people from across the room and make up stories in your head about them. And I was like, I'm the same person. Like, I have a friendship that was like built upon, wait, you do that same thing too? We need to be friends.
Yeah. It's a thing that I do. I remember I was at my premiere one time of my film, and I saw someone from across the room, and this beautiful woman with just immaculate, just gorgeous brown skin and long locks. And I was like, just graduated from Yale School of Drama, class of 2014. She just got her MFA. She just moved to LA 6 months ago, and she's 27 years old, and I just start making up stories because I was like, that's what the energy she gave me. None of that was accurate. None of that was accurate. After getting to know her, she was like, she's just gorgeous, beautiful Black woman. So she was like a 40-year-old mother of 3, and so it wasn't, but I was like, you're what? But that was a story that I had made up because that was just a vibe that she gave me. So I love doing that with people, and it helps me with character development too in my writing. So it's a little fun thing that I do. Yeah.
Yes. And I was actually just about to ask you, like, does that help you with character development? Because that, like, telling those, you're like, oh, like, it's kind of rapid fire, right? When you're like, oh,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, in fact, what I do when I'm writing, I'll put together, like an inspirational wall of like my dream cast, and I'll write with their voices in mind. So it all goes hand in hand. So yeah, it really helps me a lot for sure.
Yeah. I understand that, and I can see that and how that would help you, and having that brain of like, oh yeah, they look like 36. They had a long day at work. They're really tired. I think their feet hurt. They can't wait to go home, put their feet in a bath. Yeah. I think they made leftovers last night, so they're really looking forward to eating that spaghetti that they have in the fridge. Like
all the things. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if you could hear those dings. Sorry, I was like me.
It's all good. Sounds of
Sorry.
life. Sounds of
Copy
life.
that. Copy that. Sorry about that.
No, you listen, I have my phone set on do not disturb, right? However, there are certain people that can get through, like my parents, my sister, and like my best friend, right? So for most of the time I'm good, but then it's like the phone rings and I'm like, why is my phone ringing? It's on do not disturb. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
right. I forgot I set y'all to come through. The core to come through.
The core crew.
The core crew. So I'd be like, y'all don't call me because you could come through my do not disturb. So you call me at 6 p.m.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry. They Jesus, hold on.
Now they're pinging you.
Yeah, I'm like, how do I get this to stop? Hold on 1 second.
You're good.
Jesus. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm still mute. Turn off. There we go. Okay, got it. Sorry about that.
You're all right. Apology accepted. Apology accepted.
Okay, cool. All right, there we go.
So what I want to ask you, because you are in LA, making it work, right? Director, writer, producer. But has LA and doing what you're doing always been in your heart, always been a desire of yours? Like, how did you get started in being a writer, director, and producer?
Yeah, LA has honestly always been in my heart. Since the time I was a kid, I was always like, I was always super intrigued by shows like Saved by the Bell and Pretty Woman and Boys in the Hood. Anything that centered Los Angeles, anything that was around Los Angeles. And back then, everyone shot a lot in LA, right? Not too much anymore, unfortunately. But back then, everything was shot in LA. So I've always had this major intrigue with Los Angeles. Again, like Boys in the Hood, Poetic Justice, any film, Clueless, any film that kind of centered LA or like LA was a character in the project, I was really fascinated with. So I always knew that I wanted to move here. And I always knew that I wanted to work in entertainment of some sort. I didn't know what. I thought that I would be a music producer, but then I realized like I don't really have any real musical talent. And so that, and so I didn't go that route. And so I knew I was going to work in entertainment. I just didn't know exactly how and what would make sense. And then during junior college, that shifted in that moment. So I learned. I knew what I wanted to do after that. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So then with that, so I know you went to Temple University. Shout out to Temple University. Once you graduated, did you move directly to LA? Or like, what was kind of your path after you graduated?
So I graduated Temple, and I went to a community college, Delaware County Community College, for 2 years before I transferred to Temple. And that was where I got like the producing bug there. After I graduated Temple, I'd interned at MTV in New York City during my very last semester at Temple. And I'd gotten a job in New York. My plan was always to move to LA after college graduation, but I didn't have any money, and and I didn't know anyone in LA, and I just happened to get a job in New York. So I would commute back and forth every day for a year and 8 months from Philly to New York. Yeah, because I lived/worked in New York when it was the new New York. So by that time it was super expensive. Yeah, because I started working in my first PA job at VH1 was April 30th, 2007.
Okay.
It was that day, and so I commuted back and forth every day for that a year and 8 months, and then I finally was able to like move to Jersey City. And then start living, outside of Philly and move to Jersey and New York City. So
yeah. Okay. So then, where did the shift happen? Where did like the pivot happen when you were like, okay, it's time to move to LA, right? Like, because you could have just stayed in New York.
Yeah. Listen, and I always say like my life in New York was amazing, right? Because I'm born and raised in Philly, so I was literally like a 2-3 hour train ride from my family, all of my siblings, my grandmother, my aunt, my mom, my dad, and my whole family's still in Philly to this day. I have one sister here that lives in LA now. but yeah, no, it could have been amazing. But I knew that sometimes you have to let go of the good thing to get the God thing.
Ooh, ooh. Say that
And
again for the people in the back. Say it one more time, mainly for me.
sometimes you have to let go of the good thing to get the God thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in my cubicle at VH1, 345 Hudson, the third floor. I was 26 or 27 maybe at the time. And I was an associate producer and I was working on a show called Miss You Much.
Mm-hmm.
And my PA at the time, Mercedes, who's amazing and still we're still tight to this day. She's a big time producer now.
Yeah.
But she said, have you heard of Have you heard of Aqua Black Girl? And I was like, no, what's that? And she was like, it's this this web series with this girl named Issa Rae. You should check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched Aqua Black Girl. And then I discovered like Lena Waithe and Justin Simeon and Ben Corey Jones, and I discovered Black and Sexy TV and Numa Perrier and just all these folks and Janine Daniels, and I discovered like all this. I knew that it felt like there was a Black Renaissance about to happen in Los Angeles, and it was about to be a renaissance of like all of these brilliant Black creatives, and I was like, ooh. I think I may need to get to LA to diversify and pivot into scripted TV and films and etc. And so Awkward Black Girl was like the seed where I was sort of like watching it. I was like, seems like there's a lot bubbling in LA. I may want to get there.
Yeah.
And I was 27 at the time. And then I had visited LA by that point, but I was still like, I was really just living it up in New York City. It was just I had a sexy apartment in Queens, and like it was just amazing. I was I was a Viacom kid too, so I was always working within all of the Viacom systems. Like my life was amazing. Yes. But that was when I started to make the plan to move to LA, and I moved to LA February 1st, 2014. So like a couple years later.
Yeah, you moved. Yeah. Okay, so within that transition. Well, actually, let me back up before I ask that question. I'm taking this as like you're pivoting before you necessarily need to, right? Like I think from my vantage point, like we as artists and creatives pivot when we have to, right? Like we stay in our good thing. And what I'm taking from you is that you were like, yeah, I actually am in a good thing, but I do still have to pivot, right? Like you said, like I gotta let go of something good to get the God thing, right? And like, so having that mindset, I guess I want to talk about like and kind of crack open your brain of like, where does that mindset come from of pivoting? I guess I'm gonna say for yourself, right? Before life or the industry forces you to pivot.
Well, you know what kind of happened actually? Like it was a combination of different things, right?
Okay.
Like I was like at that time, like I kept hitting these walls in my career, where I was working on certain content that I was not fully proud of. I'll say that. And I was becoming frustrated. And I was also getting older in the sense of like, I was approaching 30, right? And so I got some really great advice from one of my mentors who was about 10 or 11 years older than me. And she said, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to pivot and do it now. So if you want to make movies in Los Angeles, go make movies in Los Angeles. If you want to make scripted TV in Los Angeles, go make scripted TV in Los Angeles. If you want to make, whatever films in Atlanta, like whatever it is that you want to do, get clear and specific and intentional about it and go do that. Because the older you get, to a degree, it can become more and more challenging to pick up your life and just shift things completely.
Yeah.
And she really like shared her testimony with me because she was 40 and she was about to go to start at AFI to get her master's in producing. And she really wanted to pivot into film producing.
Okay.
And she was like, you should do this now. So that was one seed. Also, again, like the content that I was working on, things just kept getting more and more challenging, but it was almost like a push out of some sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
things
You weren't in
became
alignment with it,
the
or
alignment was off, right? Like
yeah.
there was a push out, but not like, oh, this is uncomfortable, push through. It was a
Mm-hmm.
push out in the sense of like, this is kind of not where you're supposed to be anymore, and you have to kind of pay attention to the signs. So it was, a lot of it was also spiritual, and also I was at church the night before, the Sunday before my flight, because I think I left on a Saturday. So the Sunday before my flight, I was in church with a friend of mine, and the word was you have, I'm paraphrasing, but you have become a big fish in a small pond, and now you need to go and swim with the sharks.
Wow.
And it was, and there's a lot more to it, all right? But
Yeah.
it was that the message was super clear and specific, and it was totally geared towards me. So much so that my friend and I didn't even sit together in church that day. And she walked up to me, she said, "So that was for you. Good luck. Good luck in Los Angeles.
Right.
Goodbye, and I'll
Right.
see you when I see you." And she was like,
Yeah.
"Because there's nothing left to say. That was
Right.
for you, and go take LA by storm." And that was that. That was that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So once you landed in LA, you now 10 toes down. You're in Los Angeles, California.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go? Like starting out in a new city.
Can I tell you?
Swimming with the sharks.
So I landed in LA. I had $11,000 in my account.
Yeah.
2 suitcases, and I had no car, no job, and I had 3 friends at the time.
Yeah.
One friend, she moved back to New York like 3 months after I got there.
Okay.
The other friend, Al, he moved to Japan 4 months after I got there. And the other friend, who's this, phenomenal makeup artist, Tasha Lako Brown, she had her life in LA already. I think she was raised here, but she had a full life here. And so I was down to like one friend basically. And I was like, how do I do this? Right. And she was amazing. She helped me tremendously when I got here, and love her to this day. And, but yeah, I had no car, no job, and no apartment, and just the money that I had. And so I slept on my friend Al's, I slept on his air mattress. And I just said to him, I said, just give me 30 days. If you just give me 30 days, I'll find a place to live. And I was out by 8. I was out at 8 days. Yeah. So I went to my church I landed February 1st, 2014. I found my church February 2nd. I'm still frequent there to this day. I got a job offer on a Lifetime show called BAPS. It lasted for 1 season. On February 3rd. On February 4th, I got my car. Still got my car to this day. And then February 8th, I got my apartment that I still currently live in to this day. So I moved there and then like I said, like I had 11,000. By the end of my second week, I was down to like 6,000.
Yeah.
Because I got a car, I got an apartment, and I was like, okay. And it was like, and so, but also moving there, I'll be really transparent. There was like a huge wave of depression that came over me that I really didn't expect. And then my therapist, that I later started working with, and she was like, she informed me, she was like, after death, moving is the number 2 cause of stress, like ever.
Yeah.
And then you moved across the country. And I just didn't, it had been a lifelong dream for so long that I didn't factor in the challenges of it, right? Like I didn't factor in like you have to find a new car, a new job, a new apartment, a new doctor, a new dentist, a new barber, a new gym.
Yeah.
You have to build your life from scratch all over again. And it wasn't until I was at the Walmart on Crenshaw. It's not there anymore, but I was at the Walmart on Crenshaw, and I lived not too far from there. But I couldn't figure out my way back home because the GPS on my phone wasn't working.
Yeah.
And I literally, like Ayana, I literally could not figure out how to make it home, how to make it back to my apartment. And that was when I was like, oh snap, what did I get myself into? So I always tell people, like, you really have to give LA like a good 3 years. And the first year in LA can be really, really tough.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of loneliness, there's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of grieving of your old life. and you're just trying to figure out like, who am I here and how do I navigate this space?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Ooh, yes. And I think that's something that we navigate career-wise as well, right? So you were intentionally moving for your career, but in part of that, it's like you had to grieve the life you had on the East Coast, the good thing that you had on the East Coast, right? And I think we also do that with parts of our career when it's like, oh, I wanted to do this, but I'm in this section of the arts now, but I have to grieve that section of me, right? Like that artistry, or if like I was an actor, but now I'm choosing to be a painter or whatever it happens to be. And so then with that, once you, I guess, kind of settled, into, you're like, okay, I'm here, I'm in LA, rebuilding my life. When did you, I guess, find your footing to start producing your own things, right? And writing and getting to the point where you're like, oh, yeah, like the films you've produced, right? Like Black Boy Joy. And like, how did you get to that point where you're like, okay, yes, now I can produce my stuff?
So, yeah, once I got settled, it took me a minute to kind of build that confidence up to work on my own content, because I had been a corporate kid for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I came up very much in like corporate, structured corporate television. You know what I mean? From literally from intern to PA to coordinator to like I was always at a corporation.
Yeah.
So independent filmmaking wasn't something that I was like, I always knew that it was going to be a part of my journey. I just didn't know how. So the first big thing was a film called 90 Days with Nathan Hill Williams.
Okay.
And that planted the seed. So I was a co-producer on that. And that starred Teyana Paris and Paulina Washington, and that did really, really great on the festival circuit. But I was the co-producer. I was the co-producer, and I wasn't a lead producer.
Okay.
But that was when just working with Teyana and what we did to get her on the project and to see how well the project did, it inspired me to really want to step out as a lead producer and really see what I could do on my own. And so even before like I got to Black Boy Joy, I ended up being the lead producer on a show called Air, which stands for Hollywood Entertainment Industry Royalty. And it starred Shirley Ralph and Niecy Nash and their sons.
Yes.
And so the way I ended up working on that was I was second ADing on a film with Twinkie Bird, who's just a brilliant casting director and a mentor of mine to this day. And I met Etienne Maurice, who now is the head of Walk Good LA, which has become a big nonprofit out here. And he was like, hey, I'm looking for a producer for these projects that I'm trying to get off the ground. And then that, the Air project really resonated with me. And so we pushed that thing up the mountain and we got it got some traction for us. Right. And so, and that was the first thing that I produced independently, without the backing of a corporation, that made me be like, oh, wait, I think I can really be a strong independent lead producer.
Yeah.
And then that project, I used that to submit to Project Involve, which is a really prestigious, fellowship that Justin Simeon's done and Tim B. Banks has done and Effie Brown has done and Justin Chu. They've all done Project Involve, so it's a lot of great history with it. So I submitted to Project Involve, got into Project Involve, and then that's when I got to Black Boy Joy. So then that's when I produced that. Okay. And that whole Black Boy Joy journey was a journey, and it really helped. It helped my career a lot. It gave me a lot of traction, and I learned a lot about just really pushing yourself to the limit as a producer, and really milking something for all it's worth. I learned that I executed that on Black Boy Joy, but I learned it from 90 Days, watching the way my lead producers navigated that film and submitting it to all the festivals and all the awards and just seeing what it could really do. So Black Boy Joy really pushed it to the limit to see to really work your project. And so that spawned, winning my first Image Award and winning a few Telly Awards and Anthem Awards and what else did we win? And we won a bunch of festivals, and we were finalists at ABFF. And no, we won ABFF. We were finalists at ABFF. We were finalists at ABFF. We won Black Star. We won Martha's Vineyard. So, and we got on HBO. So it really taught me that your films really should have a shelf life. If you really push it and market it the best way you can. So, and you can market it well with minimal money. You just have to really be committed and dedicated to it.
Understood. And have there been moments in any of the projects that you've worked on thus far that you were just questioning, like, child, are we?
Listen, all of them.
Should we
all
continue?
of them, right? Like, all of the projects, because it's like, because something is always going to go wrong, right? Like there's always going to be a curveball. Let me let the producers out there know that, like the producers, directors, whomever, there's always going to be a curveball. Like whether it be, your art director just tripping, child, like your art director tripping, or your cinematographer being a diva, or someone, heaven forbid, getting hurt, or somebody done slap somebody on the ass and which is inappropriate. I mean, like, there's always something that where you'd be like, wait, what happened? Like, or somebody crashing the camera truck. These are all things that I've experienced where you'd be like, wait, what happened? Like, are they safe? Are they okay? And like, all the things. And so like, there's always something. And so for me, especially when you're in the midst of production, when you're shooting 12 to 15 hour days and you're exhausted and you're tired. And also, like, making a film is like, what's the best way to, some people say it like, it's like, it could be like going to camp. I also say, and go with me here, I also say it's also kind of like having a love affair, because you're putting all these people together, right, in this one moment, and you got to figure out how to work with each other for these, whether it be 4 days or 10 days or 30 days or however long the shoot process is, right? You have to figure out how to work with each other, and you don't really have a choice but to figure out how to be in relationship with one another. So I would say I equate it to like falling in love and having this love affair, and you're in the south of France for like 3 weeks with someone that you really don't know that well, but you have this amazing trip and this amazing opportunity, and you got to figure out how to work things out with them in real time. Like, that's really difficult to take a crew of, minimum 30 to like 150 people and be like, everybody figure it out, go. And any conflict that arises, you have to work through it, figure it out, go. Cause y'all are all getting paid to be here.
Right.
But when you're on day 30, and you're tired and you ain't seen your family in eons, something is bound to go left. It just is. And so as a producer, you have to, I always say, like, I go through a lot of prayer, a lot of therapy, a lot of counsel before I step on set, before I go to a big project, because someone's going to end up yelling. It's just this. It's just going to happen.
That's the nature of it.
That's the nature. So you really just have to be really prepared and centered. And that was something I really put into practice on the last project that I wrapped. I can't talk about that project yet. It'll be out in a couple of weeks, actually. The trailer will be out in a couple of weeks. But my key PA kept affirming me, and their key PA I work with often. They kept saying, they're like, we can tell you're really centered on this one. And I really just stayed. I did a lot of my spiritual practice in the morning that really helped me to stay centered and not let my anxiety sort of rattle me a bit. Because it can be a lot, everyone coming at you, right? Like, I also say, like, being a lead producer is like gaining 35 children overnight.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, because it's like, it's you hear everything from
Mhm.
You hear everything from that heater scares me. These are all real examples.
The heater?
That heater scares that heater scares me. Can we use a different heater? Sure, I'll get you a different heater. Or do these, I have a nut allergy, so I can't eat this. Okay, cool. Or I have a soy allergy, and so it's like, okay, cool, got it. Or my personal favorite, when am I gonna get my money? I need my money. My kids have to eat. When am I gonna get my money?
Mhm.
We just yelled cut. We just yelled cut.
Yes.
We just finished.
Right.
We just finished. You're gonna get your money, beloved.
Yes.
There's a
You
payroll
go
process.
get it.
Like,
Right.
it's gonna be about a week, maybe 2, but you're gonna get your
Right.
money.
But you
This is
gonna
not
get
that
it.
90. I promise you, it's not that 90.
Right.
But I also understand, but when it's
Right.
multiplied by 35 people, and you're like,
right. You have
I'm
to.
gonna get you your food. You're gonna get your food.
Right. We're gonna change
get
out
you
the
your
heater.
We're gonna change out the heater. Because since this heater scares you,
Oh
you're
my
like,
God.
mhm.
I promise to never be that type of diva on a set. Like, I'm very much theater, but transitioning into like TV and film. So like, I promise here and now to
I'll be
not.
I'd be some folks. I'll be like, okay, we're
Smile
gonna
and
get you some
nod.
organic air. We're gonna get you some organic air to eat. I always say that. I'm gonna get you some organic air.
I'm gonna get you some organic air. Yes.
Yeah.
But okay, yes, I can see how sometimes a project you just be like, what we could do is pivot this whole thing into the trash. That's what we could do.
Yeah. Can my wife come to set? Can my wife pull up real quick?
This is a closed set, friend.
This is a closed set.
What?
Mm-hmm. All those things. All those.
Right. And I could definitely relate to it. I think filming definitely has a lot more people than theater does, right? But it's the same kind of thing, especially working in regional theater. You put up a show, like you meet the cast day one. Here are your scripts. Especially musical theater, we'll start learning the songs, start learning the music. Here we are. Okay, rehearsal for 2 weeks, and now you're running for 6 weeks, and then it closes. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Contract's over.
Then it's over. Like a love affair. A love affair is like, oh, we're done. Okay, cool.
Right.
And I don't know if I'll ever see you again.
Yes. Yeah. Like literally that. I don't know if I'll ever see you again. Literally. So I've had the opposites where I have lifelong friends now because of theater contracts, but there's also people that I've worked with that I haven't seen in 10 years.
Absolutely. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're like, and then when you see them, you go, wait, we know each other. We did a thing in 2010. You're like, oh yeah. It's like with social media, it's better where you can kind of keep track of people a little bit better now.
Yes.
But I remember when it'd be like I know you. Like, oh yeah, that's right. We were PAs together for this 2-day gig with T.I. in Atlanta and da-da-da. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes. And that makes me think of like, as artists, right? Whatever side of if you're talent, if you're the producer, the writer, whatever it is, that it's like also kind of letting go, right? Like we have to learn that very quickly of we're doing this project, we're invested in it, and now we got to let it go because it's done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's done.
Because there's also so many things, right? Like depending on the level that you're at, depending on, the level of experience or notoriety that you have in your career, whether the network takes it over or the studio takes it over, whether they submit it to an award show or not, whether they submit it to a festival or not. Sometimes those things are out of your control. That's one of the things that I love about independent producing is that those things are very much in my control.
Right.
But sometimes it's sort of like you see something and it comes out so much longer, like a year or two later, and it doesn't look the way you expected, or it doesn't get the proper promotion, or whatever the case may be. And you just have to really release it and say, I did my part, and it is what it is. Yeah. That's a thing.
That makes sense. So I wanted to ask you, what would be your like nugget of wisdom, word of advice to any artists, creatives, producers, writers, actors, multi hyphenates, if you will, um, right? Of staying in the business if they so choose to, and continuing to thrive.
Diversify your streams of income.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. I think
Mm-hmm.
we really, Zoe Saldana just said it on her SAG Award speech. I think we really have to talk about, we have to really unpack how to make a living and how to build wealth as artists and in the system, right? Like,
Yeah.
and in these systems that we work within.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the starving artist, notion or mentality.
Neither do I.
I don't want to be a starving artist. I want to be a very wealthy artist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like building out the economics of this industry, I think it's important, recognizing that, the importance of that. No words of advice. I live by this. Have faith, do the work, and wait your turn. Sometimes it's just not your turn. Sometimes it's just not your turn. And you have to know when to say, oh, it's just not my turn yet. But let me stand in the presence of the anointing. Let me stand beside my friend who is now number one on the call sheet, or who is going to the Emmys, or who's doing this and a third. Let me stand beside them. I always give this like perfect examples. Like me, my first primetime Emmys, my friend who was once my PA, that same young lady Mercedes, who was once my PA on Miss You Much back in the day at VH1, she was now this really phenomenal production manager on this hit HBO show, and won a Peabody Award, and then took me to my first primetime Emmys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As her guest, as her date. And then later on, and then years later, I got my first daytime Emmy nomination.
Yeah.
And then the following year, I got another Emmy nomination. You know what I mean? So it's like, but had I not had the understanding of like, I need to stand next to her in her glory, and that anointing and that overflow would fall on me. I could have been, the ego can trip you up to being like, well, you was my PA, and now you taking me to the Emmys, and it should be the other way around. No. Be kind to your PAs. Be nice to everybody. One, because it's the right thing to do, but two, you never know. Because my PA, who was now a big time production manager, took me to my first primetime Emmys, and I'm grateful for it. So, knowing when it's not that at that time it wasn't my turn. My turn came a couple years later.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yes. And I understand that, and I feel like I've always operated in that, like celebrating my friends' wins and celebrating, oh yeah, like it's your turn, because I know that my turn is coming, right? And I think that's also something that you have to be secure enough in yourself to know, right? Like you said, like have faith, do the work, and wait your turn. But you have to know that having faith and doing your work will result in your turn coming, right? Like I think there's also this scarcity mentality among a lot of artists, unfortunately. But again, I think it goes back to like, that's a whole nother can of worms to open, but the economics of being an artist, right, breeds the scarcity mentality and going, oh, well, that should have been me. And I'm like, no, because if it was you, then it would have been you, right? Like, no, that's not yours. That's theirs. That's on their path, their direction, right? But standing next to the person who's like, yeah, I'm gonna freaking celebrate their win. Like, yes, absolutely. Your win is my win. Like, wait, we're all in this, right?
That's it.
Like we're in this like gumbo together.
That's it. And recognizing that and executing that, and also having genuine peace with that too.
Ooh, yes.
Genuine peace with that too, because I've seen.
You in LA, you've seen it all.
I've seen it. I remember I was, how can I talk around this? I remember I was, somebody was blowing up.
Yep.
And I ran into their friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I said, can you believe all of the great things that are happening for so and so? And they, I mean, when I say when they chew their friend out, I mean, chew them out, Ayana.
No.
I mean, it just, I mean, I mean, dog them out to the point where I stopped being cool with them.
No.
Like that person that was dogging him out.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, if
You're
that's
like,
the
nope.
way you talk about your friend,
quote unquote friend.
ooh, I was like, Lord, I mean, dog them out.
Wow.
And it's benefiting from their shine.
What? Oh, you talking out both sides of your mouth, huh? Oh, you
like I said, but you said,
but
I mean, dog them out. So I mean, real bad.
Wow.
Real bad.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I said, ooh.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
You can stay over there. Don't.
Yeah. That bitterness is that, like, when people, I've seen it. Like, I've seen people, I'd say it happens around, I've seen people become bitter around let me not give it a number. Let me take that back.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people become bitter if they've been out here X amount of time and certain things haven't happened.
Yes.
I've seen it.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I've also seen a lot of people who come here and they think that being at every premiere is doing the work. And that's not what that is.
No.
That's not doing the work, beloved. Like, it's like, you gotta, like, it'd be a many a night where I'd be in this kitchen by myself writing or running numbers or researching festivals or figuring out how can I take money from this job. Okay, I just booked this job. Let me invest money from that job and read and get my reel done.
Yep.
Or use this money from this show to take this independent project and submit it to the Image Awards or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So people don't see that part.
It's right. People don't see that part. They just see the premieres or being at the premieres, right? Now but there was work put into that.
A lot of work, man.
And
lot
you have
of work.
to do the work.
You got to do the work.
It's also like your path is different. So who says that you're going to get X, Y, and Z? If you think X, Y, and Z means being successful, baby, you're going to be thoroughly disappointed because your life may not, you would still be successful in the entertainment industry, but it's not going to look like that. But because you didn't win, let's say a Grammy, I'm just going to throw that out there, that you're not a successful artist, but yet you've toured the world. You have these many albums out. You've done X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, but because you didn't win a Grammy, you're not validated?
You big mad. Yeah, make it make sense.
Make that make sense.
Make it make sense. Yeah. It's a thing.
So Nasir, I want to say thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for blessing the show with your presence, sharing your story, and being transparent, right? Because sometimes people are like, oh, well, it's just all, rainbows and sunshine. And child, there are days of rainbow and sunshine. Don't get me wrong.
There are.
Don't get me wrong.
There are.
But there are other days of gray clouds and rain.
Yeah, especially because LA is LAing right now. Like I think it feels like we're starting to find ourselves again out here in Los Angeles. Yeah. It feels like work. I mean, it's still a challenging time. Work is slowly picking back up, very slowly.
Yeah.
But it was, I hope we're getting to the other side of it. I really do. I hope so. But yeah, because. And it's real. And there's certain people that are just trying to hold on for dear life and just stick it out. Yeah. And that's a real thing, right? Like that's real. Like, let's keep it a buck. Yeah. And people with Emmys and Oscars. I mean, you said it's in the headline. So like, I think what I do love is that like the facade is being broken down. I think people are like not fronting no more. People are like, oh, like, no, this is a real thing.
Right.
And just trying to stick it out.
Yeah.
Has its challenges. It really it does.
Oh, absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. But it's like kind of like, but I have to stick it out, right? Like I'm even speaking from the East Coast as a theater girl. Like I have to stick it out. I have no other option. I got to see what's coming.
Yeah, and also for me, 19 years into this business, you so far out into the boat now. You can
We're in the
look
middle
back
of the
if you
ocean.
want to. You in the middle of the, you in the middle of the
I'm
ocean.
not going back to the shore. I can't see the shore anymore.
You in the middle of the, you can't see the shore, but you also can't see the destination either. So
That
you
part.
might as well keep swimming, you might as well keep paddling, you might as well keep rowing the boat. Because
Thank
it's
you.
like what am I gonna do? Like I can't. What am I gonna do now?
What am I gonna do now?
I'm in the middle. I legit feel like that about my career. I feel like I'm again 19 years in. I'm like, you so far from shore, brother. You better keep swimming. You better keep going.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I'm right behind you. I think I'm trying to do the math quickly in my head. I think I'm 16 years in. 16 going on 17. Yeah. I'm in the middle of the ocean with you.
Yeah. You're like okay. And when I think about those like Debbie Allen careers, those Mike Nichols careers, those Whoopi Goldberg careers, where I'm like, when anything worth doing is going to take a long time, right? But also like longevity is key. But they've been through all the strikes before,
right?
They've been through the ups and downs before,
right?
They figured it out, how to raise kids in this industry. So when I look at those folks and they figured out how to diversify and how to be like, all right, I'm going to go do TV now. All right, I'm going to go do film now. Okay, I'm going to go do theater now. Okay, I'm going to go do... And it's like, okay, when I see Debbie Allen especially, I think of her all the time when I be like, all right, well, let me just stick it out. Just stick it out and just stay in it. And sometimes sometimes the goal is just to stay in it.
Stay in it. Yes. Yeah. Ooh, yes. Stay in it and ride the roller coaster, right? Like, I think, and let me not put this on anybody else. Let me say it for myself. I thought that the roller coaster was going to stop at some point and it was just going to be smooth sailing. Like, I don't know, like, I definitely started my career with rose-colored glasses. Like, I have to admit that. Oh, once I book my Broadway contract, the doors will open up. I most definitely thought the roller coaster ride would just be like, we gonna be in the teacup land, right? We're gonna be in the teacup ride. But like realizing, like you said, careers like Debbie Allen and Whoopi Goldberg, it's like, no, they've ridden the roller coaster this whole time for the last 50 years. They stuck with it. They kept rowing in the middle of the ocean.
Absolutely. Because they had their version of a storm too. Yeah. They had their version of like, oh snap, like what am I gonna do? Or so you have to just kind of like, you got to pull yourself up and just keep it pushing.
Yeah. Pull yourself up and keep it pushing. Nasir, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Before I let you go, please let us know where everybody can find you on the interwebs.
Yes, you can find me at Nasir Kenneth Ferebee everywhere. Instagram, Facebook. I'm about to start a TikTok. My website, NasirKFerebee.com. I think this should be it. Yeah.
Okay,
LinkedIn,
great.
Nasir Kenneth Ferebee, everywhere.
Perfect. All of that will go in the show notes, y'all, so you can click on it. And I must say to you that I acknowledge you, I celebrate you, and I uplift you.
Thank you. I receive and all the same back to you tenfold. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And coming up on the next episode of the Artist Pivot Podcast.
Hey, everybody. I'm Stephanie Graham, and I am on the Artist Pivot Podcast. I worked on this fashion show in LA randomly because, through making sure I text people on their birthday, someone's like, hey, I'm doing this fashion show and I know it's not like a film set, but would you be available? And it was just like putting flower arrangements like on a runway. It's like, oh yeah, that's fine. And at lunch, the makeup artist, what we're talking about, like relationship building. And he said, you know what? I have had a lot of models in my chair and they just start to talk and I don't repeat a thing. I just make it a safe space for them. I don't repeat anything. And like that has really built a lot of trust for him in his career. And I really remembered that. And I'm like, that's such good advice. I wouldn't go around sharing anybody's business anyway. But, it's just a good reminder in those spaces that he was, where you can just go out and tell everybody's business for like a TMZ opportunity to just not, period.
This show is hosted and produced by me, Ayana Major Bay. Show editor is Kieran Niement. Show theme song lyrics written by Ayana Major-Bay and Melissa Victor. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this show with your friends.